Hi, I'm Judy Gaman. I'm sitting here with my dear friend Lucille Fleming, who I had the pleasure of meeting when writing the book Age to Perfection, How to Thrive to 100, Happy, Healthy, and Wise. And now I'm working on a new book with Lucille, and the book is Lunch with Lucille. She's lived a very long time, reaching her 101st birthday just this month. And there's so many great things that she can be telling all of the readers and listeners. So I wanted to take a moment to sit down and ask you a few questions, Lucille, so that they could put a face with a name. I know a lot of people will be reading the new book, Lunch with Lucille, and they'll want a little flavor of exactly how you are, your personality, your mannerisms.
This is vanilla.
This is vanilla? Oh, please, I've seen a lot of different strawberries and chocolate and all kinds of flavors out of you, Lucille. So let's start off with one question I know a lot of people really want to know, and that is, what was your biggest challenge in life that you had to overcome?
My biggest challenge? Public speaking.
Well, it looks like you're over it. We've been on the news, we've been on the radio, we've done a lot of things together.
I've just come out of my shell.
Oh, just now?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's a good thing to do. See, it's
Right
never
now.
it's never too late. Oh, that's funny. But you've lived through a lot of things. You've lived through a depression.
Yes.
You've lived through some world wars.
Yes.
And a lot of things in history. What's the one thing that you've lived through in history that you feel is maybe the hardest thing? Or what advice would you give to people that say, oh, today there's so much going on, it's so difficult?
I would say to them, think about tomorrow. Think about tomorrow and what's going to happen. Say, for instance, I didn't think about coming to the United States to work at Mass General, to earn enough money to put myself through nurses' school. My folks didn't have the money, so I thought, well, I'll just jump on a train and hop over to Boston and work at Mass General. And it was not a nurse's job, it was an attendant nurse. And I did all the dirty work for the nurses. And I said then, I'm not going to continue doing this. I'll do this for 3 years and earn the money, and then I can go to the different campuses in Cambridge and Boston and find out which one. And I picked Cambridge, Mount Auburn, near Harvard College.
That's fantastic. So really, the thing you're telling the listeners and the viewers here is that everyone should have a goal, right? And keep plugging forward.
Yes, yes. They certainly should. If I didn't have a goal then, I'd be still picking potatoes in Prince Edward Island.
It was good exercise, though.
Yeah. But it was heavy work. Or pitching hay. I used to pitch hay with my dad. And one time I pitched it too much to one side, and we both fell down on the floor. And my father said, I think you better go home and cook rather than do
Knowing you, I don't think that went over too well.
No, it didn't. I ran home and cried.
Oh, that's great. Well, I love that you talk about the hard work. And you and I have had multiple conversations about how important it is to exercise and to be active.
Yes.
And still, you coming on 101 this month, you still exercise.
Yes, absolutely. I walk the corridors out here, and when I'm in bed, getting ready for bed, I'll, exercise my arms. And if you're sitting in a chair, don't just sit in the chair. Put your stomach in and push out, and you'll have a flat stomach.
That's right. So you were doing crunches before crunches were cool, before they had a name, right?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, tell me one of your favorite memories. Like, let's kind of go through different decades of your life, and let's go through some favorite memories. So let's say in your childhood, just before the teenage years, what would be one of your favorite memories from that time?
Before the teenage years?
Yeah, so under 13.
Okay. I guess going to school fairs. We had school fairs, different 3 or 4 schools would get together and compete.
Oh.
And
you're so competitive.
and yes, and I'd make pies, and I got first prize for my apple pie, and first prize for my loaf bread, and I was a competitor, and I still am. I'd get in a 2-legged race and a 3-legged race, and go down the road there, and we'd come in usually first or second. And one time I came in, and I was going full length, and I flopped right on the ground and got covered with dirt.
Oh, goodness.
Somebody was there to pick me up, though.
That's great. Now, what would you say is a challenge that you had as a teenager? Did you have any challenges or a particular memory? If you were talking to someone now who's maybe 13 to 18, what kind of advice would you give them when they're full of hormones and they're just struggling for their own identity?
I would say keep cool.
Keep cool.
Keep cool. Don't go overboard. When you go out with a guy for the first time, just watch your step, you know. And there's too much of that right now. The girls go out and they don't know how to behave. They don't know what to say. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just a good idea to talk to your mom before you go out and ask her the different things that she had to overcome.
No, good.
And
good advice.
Yes, and that's what I did. I went with this guy for 8 years, and we parted great friends. But he wanted to marry me, but I didn't love him, so I told him so.
Well, that's good. That's good. You probably saved both of you a lot of heartache.
Yes, right.
8 years, though.
Yeah, yes.
That's a long time.
And he was a big shot, too. He was the choice in Cardigan and Prince Edward Island. And they said, oh, Lucille is crazy. Why did she give that guy up? And I said, well, he was a good friend. He was like a brother to me.
Yeah.
So...
But then you did find your Prince Charming.
Yes, I did.
So let's talk a little bit about when you found your Prince Charming.
Well, yes, okay. I was pretty darn fussy.
No.
Yes. And I was introduced to my girlfriend's boyfriend, and he said, oh, Lucille, I met this great guy overseas. He said he used to fly with me, and I'd like you to meet him. And I said, no blind dates for me. So I said...
Famous last words.
Yeah, famous last words. So I said, well, okay, bring him over. And I was living with my uncle in Oakland. And I said, I'll stay in the bedroom, and I'll peek through the hole there in the wall. And I said, if I like him, I'll bow my head and say I'll be out. And I looked and I thought, gee, he's a great guy.
He's cute. Or as the kids would say now, he's hot.
Yeah, he's hot, yeah. And after 4 months of going together, we got married.
Oh, I love that.
We had two wonderful sons.
Yeah, you have great sons.
Yes,
you're so blessed.
Yes. They're good kids.
Well, tell me about maybe a struggle that you had if now you were speaking to someone who's maybe in their 20s, who's starting to, they've graduated college or starting to get their career together, but still they're having those struggles being a young adult and making that transition from being a high school student, living off of mom and dad, to then going to a point in their life where they're completely self-sufficient. What advice would you give them?
I would say to them, don't depend on your mom and dad to be with you forever. You're going to have a separation, and it's time that you would get out and be able to make up your mind yourself without a lot of criticism and talk. I depended on my mother for good advice, and she always gave me the best advice. So I would want to have enough money to be able to get pretty clothes and stuff, to be able to go out on dates. When I was in school, I'd have 3 or 4 outfits, and that was it. And boy, I couldn't wait till I got my first check.
I bet you headed to Macy's, or what was the store then? What, like, if you had your first check and you were going to go shopping, where did you go?
I went to Filene's Basement.
Oh.
In Boston.
So you found lots of great outfits?
Oh, yes. If you've ever heard of Filene's Basement, people tear things from you. You'll pick up something. Next thing you know, we'll pick that up. That's mine.
Well, it's funny that you went from 3 outfits
Yes.
to now. I mean, you're like a fashion symbol. You always have your ribbon on and your flower and all the different colors you wear.
Yeah.
It's so impressive. And I love, of course, your shoe collection. A girl after my own heart.
Pink shoes. Yeah, I love clothes. And I like to put them together, and I like to mix them up. And people say, I haven't seen that outfit before. And I said, yeah, you did, but with a different blouse or a different flower or something like that.
Oh, that's great. So you can make a lot of different outfits out of just changing the tops.
Yes, by just changing, yes. So that's about it.
Okay, what about people that are now young couples, maybe having their first child and adjusting to being moms and dads? What's some kind of advice you would give to them for that?
It's a terrific responsibility to take on a child all of a sudden. There's no school that tells you how to do it. You go into this blindfolded, and you love the child, and just keep track of everything that little child has done. Because don't miss anything. Don't miss the first tooth, the first step, the first this or that. It will encourage you to just stay home with the children if you can. So many parents have to get out and work, but if you can only stay home for about 3 years to see that child develop.
Yeah, reach those milestones.
Yes.
Yeah. Good point. Very good point. You're right. A lot of people are in the workforce during those first 3 years, and some people have to be. So I think if they are in a situation where they have to be, just cherish those moments and those times together. Don't get caught up in the other things. Like a lot of people work and then they come home and they're all worried about the house, and then they really haven't had that opportunity to spend time.
Yes, they don't put enough time with the baby, with the child. They come first. Absolutely.
Okay, what about people that are struggling with raising teenagers? So you have a teenager in the house. You had 2 boys.
Yes.
So maybe share some stories that you have from those years, or some advice that you can give to people raising teenagers. It's an interesting yet difficult and rewarding time.
Yes. Well, I had 2, and they were 14 months apart. They were like twins. And they'd get me on the phone, and boy, would they be thinking of things to do. They'd be boxing one another, and I'd say, when I get off this phone, and then I'd take the long cord and follow them as much as I could, and try to park them a little bit. And I said, I'll be out of here in just 5 minutes, kids. Watch your step.
So a little bit of healthy fear. It's good, right? Your kids should fear you at least a little bit, right?
I know. I didn't threaten the dad. A lot of people say, wait till your dad comes home, oh boy.
Oh, no. You're the disciplinary.
Yeah.
I'm the disciplinary, too.
Were you?
Yeah, yeah.
I took care of that little problem.
Be done with this.
Yeah.
That's great. And then what about once you're older and you start getting into that, you're going to be empty nesters. The kids have grown. It's time to re-find out who you are and maybe reconnect with that spouse.
Yes.
What's some advice for those years?
Well, it's a lonesome time, I'll tell you that. I cried for 3 days after Joe left, because he was always coming in, excuse me, and sitting down, having a cup of coffee with us. And one time, he and his friend sat at the kitchen table. I was working, and so was my husband. And I had just made chocolate chip cookies, about 3 dozen. My husband loved chocolate chip cookies. So they grabbed a carton of milk and put it on the table, and they told stories and ate one cookie after the other. All of a sudden, Joe said, "There's only one cookie left."
Oh my goodness.
What do we do?
35 cookies?
Yeah, they ate them all. So we sat down for dinner that night, and I didn't know anything about it. I thought, look, this is the dessert we're going to have. And I said to my husband after we had finished the main course, I said, "I made your choice cookies today." He said, "What?" I said, "Chocolate chips." So Joe was shaking. I looked at him, and he was sitting at the table. He didn't know what to do. And all of a sudden, he grabbed his purse or his pocket, something, and he ran out the door. And I said, "What did I say? What did I say? Did he get hurt?" Back he comes with a package of Fig Newtons.
Fig Newtons to save the day. That's funny.
Fig Newtons, that's what we had. He said, "Mom, we ate them all but one." I bet you did that.
That's a great story. I love that. Oh, that's good. Now, what about, I love that. What about the older years? When you're with your spouse, you've both kind of aged, and you can kind of see that decline.
Yes.
Give some advice and talk to the person who may be in their 70s, 80s, and they're struggling maybe with their own health or the health of a spouse.
Hang on to the good days. Don't dwell on what you have. Dwell of the sickness that you have. Dwell on the health that you've had, and try to build it up and help your husband, because he's down in the dumps too, as well as you, and he doesn't speak up and say much about it. Go out for walks a lot. Hold hands when you go out, and have dinners together. The wife should be still able to cook, make cookies.
Make cookies.
Make chocolate chip cookies.
Don't make 3 dozen and have them all eaten in 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it really is. The empty nest is very lonesome for a while. And when Joe came and said goodbye to us, I just melted. And he was going to California to live. And I just got on the sofa and I cried, and Dad said, "Now, that won't do any good." He said, "Get up and make some cookies."
And we'll drown our sorrows in some milk and cookies, right? I love that. That's great. Oh, that's great. Now, let's talk about encouraging others a little bit.
Yes.
And before, when we were working on the book Age to Perfection, and we were meeting a lot over that, you told me a fabulous story. It was a story about when you had broken your femur, the long bone here,
yes.
and you were in recovery, and there was somebody else there who had an injury. It was a hip or a leg or something. So, and you had to encourage this person.
Yes.
So tell that story, because I love that.
Well, he was much younger than I. I was the oldest one, as always, So the girls would come in and they'd say, I had a bicycle and I had to ride it. And I could get to the top, but I just didn't make it over the top. And I'd do it again. And I practiced that and practiced. And this man sat beside me, and he was about 15 years younger. And he said, "I can't do it." And I said, "Don't say you can't do it." I said, "Watch me." And all the ladies said, "Mrs. Fleming is now going to walk and show you how to do it." So I got up, and boy, I went down. and walked and went over the thing, and I turned to him and I said, "Now you can do it." And he did, and they all cheered him.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
And you know, I have witnessed all the ways that you encourage people. I mean, we've had you on the radio show, the Staying Young show, and just encouraging listeners. We got great feedback on that.
Yeah.
Just one thing that you do, which I love, and you know, Dr. Anderson on our show has I think told this story maybe, I don't know, 5 times since then.
Yeah.
You lay out your clothes
Yes.
for the next day
Yes.
in anticipation that you're going to wake up and put on something fabulous
Yes.
and go and meet friends and do things.
You bet.
So I love that you anticipate tomorrow, and
Yeah.
people should do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I get my dress out and my lingerie and my flower from my dress and my shoes and hose and everything. And people come in now and say, "Oh, she's got them all laid out." You know, sometimes I put 2 outfits. I put one over a chair in the bathroom, and then I have the other one on my bed, ready to go in the morning. And my makeup. I would not leave the house without my makeup.
I think there's something to be said about that, and I think what is so precious about you, one of the things that I love so much, is that you are the epitome of a woman. I mean, you dress to the nines, you have your makeup on, you have your smile on your face, you're encouraging other people. So what advice would you give to women as far as how to be a woman?
Well, don't always dress in pants. I have probably 2 pair of slacks. I dress in a skirt, and I wear feminine things, and I like my hair. I'm wearing a wig, I want y'all to know, and without it I'd be God knows what. But it took the wig, and I encourage other people when they're losing their hair and their hair looks horrible, why don't you get a wig? And lots of people here have had wigs. They go to the place that I went to and got a wig, and they look tremendous.
I have a girlfriend that wears a wig, and I was shocked. I was like, your hair always looks so perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I just couldn't believe it. And then she leaned over, she says, I wear wigs. And I just had no idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, maybe I should get a wig because it always looked so perfect.
Hair is gorgeous. Well, the other day, this man who was well-dressed, younger man, he's about 60, I'd say, and he came over to my table with his daughter and introduced her, and then he said, "Lucille," his name is Emil, "Lucille, if I were 20 years younger, 20 years older, and you were 20 years younger, I'd ask you to marry me tomorrow."
Oh, that is so sweet.
I know. Well, everybody heard him, and they were all just clapping their hands.
Oh, I love that.
Because he said, "You always have your hair looking good." And he said, "You always have your makeup on." And I feel a little bit funny now when I see him come, because he's married.
Look at that wife and go, watch out. I bet you're looking at her hair. Honey, you need to do your hair. He's really all about the hair.
Yeah, there's one lady now, she doesn't have any hair in the front. It's all right here, and it's hanging down to about here. I'd love to give her the money to cut the hair and put a wig
Put a
in.
wig on.
Yeah.
One thing you told me, which I love, is that you don't go anywhere without your hair. So you keep it right by the bed, just in case there's a fire or you need to take an ambulance ride or whatever. You said to me, I'm not going without my hair.
Absolutely.
So whatever happens, I need time to put my hair on.
You bet. I have 2 or 3 wigs, see, so I can put one on the bed and I do the other one up, and so it's perfect for the morning curls.
And the ribbon that you wear, you always have a beautiful ribbon around your neck and up in your hair, and you always have a flower. But when did that come about? What age did you really start
Did I
that?
start doing that? Well, I watched some women on television, older women, and they were always, their makeup was perfect, and I thought, gee, doesn't she look good, you know? So I thought, well, I'll stick a little flower in my dress. So then I thought, I want my hair different. I don't want to have it like everybody has it.
Right.
So I put this around it, you know. And it's fun trying to coordinate the ribbon.
You have all these ribbons.
Yeah. Oh, I have a drawer full of ribbons. Yeah.
I remember when you had to go to a rehab facility for a couple of weeks, and I brought you flour and some ribbons, and you were so happy.
Yes.
But you had received a package, and you had told me, I said, oh, you got a ribbon. You said, well, I received a package. I took the ribbon off and put it around my neck.
I did 2 or 3.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I think that's great. And it's great inspiration.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to ask you something a little personal. I want you to give advice to those people that have lost their spouse, and feel free to share your story. But when you live with someone for a very long time, and you're as close as you two were, you know, how do you? It's not really get over, but how do you cope with and move forward and still be full of so much life and so much love and all the things that you are? What advice would you give to someone who's struggling with that?
I don't think anyone could do it without the good Lord. I feel like I was in a cocoon for 3 months. And then all of a sudden, I prayed to God that I would be able to carry on without my husband. And we lived together 48 years, and he was gone in about an hour after he fell. And it was I was stunned. I was in a coma. So I was comatose really for that time. And I asked God's help to help me through this very sad time. And of course my children helped a lot too.
That's good.
They were right there with me and called me all the time. And friends, you can't do without your friends.
Right.
Their friends were right there.
And you have a lot of friends, but you don't know a stranger. I mean, even when we went and we were on television and we went up to the studio, I mean, immediately you're like a magnet. Everybody loves you.
Age.
Age? Is it like fine wine? A good cheese?
Yeah. It gets better all the time. You know that song, My Dreams Are Getting Better All the Time. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Haven't you? Oh, that's a good
I should tell you to sing it.
Yeah. Wish I could sing it. My dreams are getting better all the time. You know what I bet you.
Well, just to wrap up, anything else, any other advice you'd like to give, any story you want to tell before we're done here?
I think about forgiveness. That's one major thing that's wrong with the world. They're fighting over land, they're fighting over money, they're fighting over who's going to be the boss. And it's too bad. God has given us this wonderful, wonderful world to work with, to live in, and to enjoy, not to be fussing with one another. And if there's a problem, don't hesitate to say, I'm sorry if I hurt you. I'll try to do better.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
That's great advice. Well, I love you so much, and I am so thrilled that Lucille is here with us today.
Oh, Judy, my gosh. Best friend, everything. She's so good to me. She comes over and helps me with my foot. She comes over and doesn't sit down, boy. She puts a basin of water in front of me. Your foot goes in that. And then she rubs it and takes this electric thing and puts it over. Oh, Judy is everything to me. Just
so
everything.
Sweet. That's so sweet. All right, pick up the book, Lunch with Lucille, so you can read more about Lucille and her stories throughout the let's see, 101 years. Throughout the 101 years.